Koletzky. I'll see to it before I go home. Oh, Mr. Cole, I didn't know you were still in here. Do be careful. That thing's not safe for it, is it? Come to pieces any minute, it might. Where would you be then, I'd like to know?
Where indeed?
Only yesterday I read in the papers of a gentleman who fell off a pair of steps in his library. Thought nothing of it at the time, but later she took bad and they rushed him to the hospital. A broken rib that had penetrated the lung, and the next day, he was dead.
What jolly papers you read, Mrs. Roper.
And that same thing will happen to you if you go stretching over like that. Oh, look, the professors run out of cigarettes again. I'd better slip out and get another 20 before they shut. Tell Miss Koletzky I won't be long fetching back that washing. Bye.
I'll tell her. Sorry, Miss Koletzky. I'll make them.
Oh, it does not matter. A few more books here and there are of no consequence.
You startled me, you see. How's Mrs. Hendryk?
The same as usual. She feels the cold, but I have a fresh bottle here for her.
Has she been ill for a very long time?
5 years.
Will she ever get any better?
She has her good days and her bad days.
Oh, yes, but I mean really better. I say, that's tough going, isn't it?
As you say, it is tough going.
Well, can't the doctors do anything?
No. She has one of those diseases for which at present time there is no known cure. Someday, perhaps, they may discover one. But in the meantime, she can never get any better.
Yes.
Every month, every year she gets a little weaker. She may go on like that for many, many years.
It is tough. It's tough on him.
As you say, it is tough on him.
He's awfully good to her, isn't he?
He cares for her very much.
What was she like when she was young?
She was very pretty. Yes, a very pretty girl. Fair-haired, blue-eyed, always laughing.
You know what gets to me? I mean, time, what it does to you, how people change, how things change. It's just hard to know what's real or what isn't real, or if anything is real.
This bottle seems to be real.
The professor said it would be all right to take anything I wanted.
Oh, yes, of course, if he said so.
He's rather wonderful, isn't he? The professor, he's wonderful. Everybody's terrifically keen. The way he puts things, the past just seems to come alive. He's pretty unusual, isn't he?
He has a very fine brain.
Bit of luck for us that he had to leave his own country and came here. But it isn't only his brain, you know. It's something else.
Yes, I know what you mean.
You just feel that he knows all about you, that he knows just how difficult everything is. Because life is difficult, isn't it?
Well, I do not see why it should be so. Well, I don't see why you say, and so many people say, that life is difficult. I find life very simple.
Oh, come now, hardly simple.
Oh, but yes. It has a pattern. The sharp edges, very easy to see.
Well, I think it's just one unholy mess. But perhaps you're kind of Christian Scientist?
No, I'm not a Christian Scientist.
But you really think life is easy and happy?
I did not say it was easy or happy. I said it was simple.
I know you're awfully good at that. I mean, the way you look after Mrs. Hendryk and everything.
I look after her because I want to do so, not because it is good.
I mean, you could get quite a well-paid job if you tried.
Oh yes, I can get a job quite easily. I'm a trained physicist.
I had no idea of that. But then surely you ought to get a job, oughtn't you?
How do you mean ought?
Well, it's rather a waste, is it? Your ability, I mean.
A waste of my training? Perhaps yes. It's my ability. I think what I do now I do well. And I like it.
Ah, Lisa.
Hello, Karl.
Look, spring.
Oh, how lovely.
Ah, you've come for more books. Good. Let me see what you're taking. Ah, Laschen. Good. Very sound. Werthmer. Oh, Sausen. I warn you, he is very unsound.
Then
No,
perhaps...
no, take it. Read it. I warn you out of my own judgment and experience, but you must make your own judgments, boy.
Thank you, sir. I'll remember what you say. I brought the Loftus back. It's just as you said. He really makes one think.
Well, why don't you stay and have some supper with us?
Well, thank you, sir, but I can't. I've got a date.
Ah, I see. Well, goodbye till Monday then, and you take care of those books.
Oh, I will, sir. Excuse me. I'm awfully sorry. More sorry than I could say about losing that other one.
Think no more about it. We all lose books in our time.
You've been awfully good about it. Some people wouldn't have lent me books anymore.
Now that would have been foolish. Go on, my boy. How is Anya?
She's been very depressed and fretful this afternoon. But she has settled down for a little sleep. I hope she's asleep now.
Well, I won't wake her if she's asleep. My poor darling. She needs all the sleep she can get.
I'll get some water for the flowers.
I've got to tell you, sir. I must. I did lose that book. I sold it.
I see. You sold it.
I never meant to tell you. I don't know why I have. I just felt that you had to know.
You sold it. For how much?
I got £2 for it. £2.
You wanted the money.
Well, yes, I did. I wanted it badly.
Well, what did you want the money for?
Well, you see, my mother's been ill lately, and... No, I won't lie to you anymore. You see, there's a girl. I wanted to...
Ah, you wanted to spend it on a girl. Well, good. Very good. Very good indeed.
Good, but I...
Yes, it was wrong of you to steal my book. Well, I had to lie to me about it. But if you have to do bad things, well, I'm good you do them for a good motive. And at your age, well, there's no better motive than that. To go out with a girl and enjoy yourself. She is pretty, your girl.
Well, naturally, I think so. Actually, she's pretty marvelous.
And you had a good time on the £2.
Well, in a way, yes. I mean, I began by enjoying it awfully. But I did feel rather uncomfortable.
Ah, yes, that's very interesting.
Do believe me, sir, I am terribly sorry, and it won't happen again.
Well,
And I'll tell you this, too. I'm going to save up, buy that book back, and bring it right back here to you.
do so if you can, my boy. Now that's all over and forgotten. Goodbye. I'm glad he came and told me about it himself. I wasn't at all sure, but I hoped he would.
You knew then. Did he have stolen it?
Oh, yes.
But you didn't let him know that you knew.
No.
Why?
Well, like I said, I'd hoped he'd come and tell me about it himself.
Was it a valuable book?
Actually, it was quite irreplaceable.
Karl.
Poor devil. So pleased to have gotten £2 for it. The dealer who bought it off him probably sold it for 40 or 50 pounds by now.
So he won't be able to buy it back.
Oh, no.
I don't understand you, Karl. It seems to me sometimes that you go out of your way to let yourself be played upon. You allow yourself to have things stolen from you, to be deceived.
Lisa, I wasn't deceived.
Well, that makes it worse. Stealing is stealing. The way you go on positively encourages people to steal.
Does it? I wonder.
How angry you make me.
Well, Lisa, I always make you angry.
And that miserable boy.
That miserable boy has the makings of a very fine scholar. A very fine scholar indeed. And that's rare, you know, Lisa, very rare. So many of these boys, girls, earnest, wanting to learn, but not the real thing. But Lester Cole, he has the true stuff of which scholars are made. You've no idea, Lisa, the difference one Lester Cole makes to a weary professor's life.
I can understand that. There's so much mediocrity.
Yeah, mediocrity and worse. I mean, I'm willing to spend time on the conscientious plotter, well, even if he's not too bright. For those who want to acquire learning as a form of intellectual snobbery, to try it on as you try on a piece of jewelry, who want a smattering and only a smattering, and who want their food to be pre-digested, now that I won't stand for. I turned one of them down today.
Who is that?
A very spoiled girl. Naturally, she's at liberty to attend classes as a waste of time. But she wants private tutoring, special lessons.
Is she prepared to pay for them?
That's her idea. I gather her father has immense wealth and has brought his little daughter everything she's always wanted. Well, he won't buy private tutoring from me.
We could use the money.
It's not a question of money, Lisa. It's the time, you see. I hadn't got the time. I have 2 students now. Sidney Abrahamson, you know him, and another boy, a coal miner's son. They're both keen, desperately keen, and I know they got the stuff in them. But they're both handicapped by a bad superficial education. I've got to give them all the time if they'd even have a chance. And they're worth it, Lisa. Do you understand? They're worth it.
I understand that one cannot possibly change you, Karl. You stand by and smile when a student helps himself to a valuable book. You refuse a rich student in favor of a penniless one. Well, I'm sure it is very noble, but nobility won't cover the cost of the baker and the butcher and the grocer.
Lisa, we're not so hard up.
No, we're not so hard up. But we could use the money. Why, just think what we could do with this room. Ah, Anya's awake.
I'll go to her.
I got the washing. And I got a few more bags for the professor. He's right out to get me. Don't they carry on when they run out of bags? You should have heard Mr. Fremantle at my last place. Scream blue bullet he did if he hadn't got a cigarette. Always sarcastic to his wife he was. They were incompatible. You know he had a secretary. So silly. I could have told them a thing or two when that divorce case came up, and I would have too, but for Mr. Roper. No, he always said, no ivy, never spit against the wind. Shall I say who it is?
If you please, Mrs. Roper.
Good evening, Mrs. Roper.
It's the doctor.
Good evening, Lisa, my dear.
Hello, Dr. Stoner.
Well, I must be off. Miss Koletzky, I'll bring in another quart at 10 in the morning. We're right out again.
Well, Lisa, how goes it? Has Karl been buying more books again? Or is it just my fancy that are more than usual?
I have forbidden him to buy more, Doctor. Already there is practically nowhere to sit down.
Oh, you are quite right to read him the right act, Lisa. But you won't succeed. Karl would rather have a book for dinner than a piece of roast beef. How is Anya?
She's been very depressed and fretful this afternoon. But yesterday, she seemed a little better and more cheerful.
Yes, that's the way it goes. Is Karl with her now?
Yes.
He never fails her. You realize, don't you, my dear? Karl is a very remarkable man. Well, people feel it. They're influenced by him.
He makes his effect, yes.
What do you mean by that, my dear?
Well, there are no fields of amaranth this side of the grave.
Walter Savage Landor? Well, what's your exact meaning, Lisa, in quoting him?
Just that you and I know that there are no fields of amaranth this side of the grave. But Karl doesn't know. For him, the fields of amaranth are here and now, and that can be dangerous.
Dangerous? To him?
Well, not only to him, dangerous to others as well. To those who depend upon him. Men like Karl, they...
Yes.
Hey, Doctor, I thought I heard your voice.
Well, Anya, you look lovely this evening.
You look well, Doctor. I don't feel it. How can I feel well kept up here all day?
But you've got that balcony outside your bedroom window. Why, you can stay out there all day and take in all the air and the sunshine and see what's going on all around you.
As if there's anything worth looking at going on around me. All these drab houses, and all the drab people who live in them. And I think of our lovely little home, and the garden, and all of our nice furniture. Everything gone. It's too much, Doctor. It's too much to lose everything you have.
Well, come on, Anya. You still have a fine, upstanding husband.
Not such an upstanding husband as he was, is he? You stoop, Karl, and your hair is gray.
That is a pity, but you must put up with me as I am.
Doctor, my back aches, and I've got a twitching in my right arm. I don't think glass medicine suits me.
then we must try something else.
Oh, the drops are all right. The ones from my heart. But Lisa only gives me 4 at a time. She said that you said I mustn't take more. But I think maybe I've gotten used to them. And it would be better if I took 6 or 8.
Lisa's only carrying out my orders. That's why I've told her not to leave them near you. For they are dangerous. You should not take too many.
It's just as well you don't leave them near me. I'm sure if you did, one day I should take the whole bottle and finish it all.
No, no, my dear. You would not do that.
Good my 21. Just lying there, ill and a nuisance. Oh, I know they're kind enough. But they must feel me a terrible burden.
You're not a burden to me, Anya.
That's what you say, but I must be.
No, you're not, dear.
Oh, I know I am. It's not as though I'm gay and amusing like I used to be. I'm just an invalid now. Fretful and cross, with nothing amusing to say or do.
Oh, no, dear.
Only I were dead, and out of the way, Karl could marry a young handsome wife who would help him in his career.
You'd be surprised if you knew how many professors' careers were ruined by marrying young, handsome wives when they themselves are middle-aged.
You know what I mean.
We shall try a tonic. A new tonic.
Well, did you see our flowers, Anya? Karl brought them for you.
I don't want to be reminded of spring. Spring in this horrible city. Do you remember the wood? How we would pick little wild daffodils. Our life was so happy then. So easy. We didn't know what was coming. And now the world is hateful, horrible, and all drab gray. And our friends are scattered. Most of them are dead. And we have to live in a foreign country.
Well, it's not so bad, Anya.
Not for you, I dare say. They've given you a post at the university in London, and it's all the same to you as long as you have your books and your studies. But I'm ill.
I know, dear.
I have no friends here. I lie alone day after day with no one to speak to. Nothing interesting to hear, no gossip.
I'm sorry, dear.
Yes? I'll see Professor Hendryk, please. If you would come this way, please. There's a young lady to see you, Karl. I do hope you don't mind my butting in like this. I got your private address from next to Cole.
Yes, may I introduce you to my wife, dear? This is Miss Rollander.
How do you do, Mrs. Hendryk?
How do you do? I am used to an invalid. I cannot get up.
Of course not, I'm so sorry. I do hope you don't mind my coming, but you see I'm a pupil of your husband's.
Yes.
I wanted to consult him about something.
This is Miss Koletzky and Dr. Stoner.
How do you do? How do you do?
How do you do?
So, this is where you live. Books, books, and books.
Yes, Miss Rollander, you are very fortunate to be able to sit down. I only cleared that couch 5 minutes ago.
Oh, I'm always lucky.
Would you like some coffee?
No, thank you. Professor Hendryk, I wonder if I could speak to you for a moment alone.
I'm afraid our accommodation is rather limited. This is the only sitting room.
Well, I expected you know what I'm going to say anyway. You told me today that your time was so taken up that you couldn't accept any more private pupils. I've come to ask you to change your mind, to make an exception in my favor.
I'm sorry, Miss Rollander, but my time is absolutely booked up.
You can't put me off like that. I happen to know that after you refused me, you agreed to take Sidney Abrahamson privately. So you see, you had got time. You preferred him to me. Why?
Well, if you want an honest answer...
I do. I hate beating around the bush.
Well, I think Sidney's more likely to profit than you are.
Are you saying you think he's got a better mind than I have?
No, I wouldn't say that. But he has, shall I say, well, a greater desire for learning.
Oh, I see. You think I'm not serious. But I am serious. The truth is your prejudice. You think that because I'm rich, because I've been a debit, and all the silly things that debs do, you think I'm not in earnest.
Carl.
But believe me, I am.
Carl, I wonder if
Yes, my dear.
it's my head. I don't feel terribly well. I'm sorry, Miss Rollander. If you'll excuse me, I think I'll go back to my own room.
Of course, I quite understand.
My heart feels very odd tonight. Do you think you could give me something?
Yes. I think we can find something for you, Karl. Would you bring my bag, please?
Poor Mrs. Hendryk. Has she been an invalid long? 5 years. 5 years. Poor man.
Poor man.
was thinking of him dancing attendance to her all the time. She likes him to dance attendance, doesn't she?
He's her husband.
He's a terribly kind man, isn't he? One can be too kind. Pity is weakening, don't you think? I'm afraid I'm not in the least kind. I never pity anybody. I can't help it. I'm made that way. Do you live here too?
I look after Mrs. Hendryk in the flat.
You poor dear. How awful for you.
Not at all. I like it.
Don't they have some sort of household helps who go around and do that sort of thing for invalids? Should have thought it would be much more fun for you to train for something and take a job.
I already have a job. Here.
Well, Professor Hendryk, can I come?
I'm afraid the answer is no.
But you don't understand. I want to come. I want to be taught. Oh, please, you can't refuse me.
But I can refuse you.
But why? Why? Daddy'll pay you heaps if you let me come. Double the ordinary fee. I know he will.
I'm sure your father would do anything for you, but it's not a question of money. Lisa, please give Miss Rollander a glass of sherry. I must get back to Anya.
But Professor Hendryk...
My wife is having one of her bad days. I know you'll excuse me if I go to her now.
No thanks, I don't want your sherry. I'll be going. I shall get my own way, you know. I always do.
We'll have a glass of sherry, Doctor.
Yes. That's a very determined young woman.
Yes. She's fallen in love with Karl, of course.
I suppose that happens fairly often.
Oh, yes. I remember being frightfully in love myself. With my professor of mathematics. He never even noticed me.
Yes, but you were probably younger than that girl.
Well, yes, I was younger.
You don't think Karl may respond?
One never knows. I don't think so.
He's used to it, you mean?
Well, he's not used to it from quite that type of girl. Most of his students are rather an attractive lot. This girl has beauty, and glamour, and money, and she wants him very badly.
So, you are afraid?
No, I'm not afraid. Not for Karl. I know the kind of man Karl is. I know what Anya means to him and always will. If I am afraid,
Yes.
So, my pretty young lady is gone.
A very beautiful young girl, Karl. Are many of your students like that?
Fortunately, no. Or we should have some more complications than we have already.
You must be careful, my boy.
Oh, I am careful. I have to be.
And if you do give her private lessons, have Lisa there as a chaperone. Good night, Lisa.
good night, Dr. Steiner. Well, I'd better go to Anya.
No, actually, she said she wanted to be left to rest a little. I'm afraid it upset her. The girl coming.
Yes, I know.
It's a contrast between her life and the other. Anya's always convinced I'm going to fall in love with one of my students.
Perhaps you will.
Can you say that?
It might happen.
Never, and you know it. Why do you stay with us? Why do you stay with us?
You know perfectly why I stay.
Well, I think it's wrong for you. I think perhaps you should go back.
Go back. Go back where?
There's nothing against you and never was. You could go back and take up your old post. They'd leap at the chance of having you.
Perhaps. But I don't want to
Or
go.
perhaps you should go.
Should go. Should go? What do you mean?
This is no life for you.
It's the life I choose.
It's wrong for you. Go back. Go away. Have a life of your own.
I have a life of my own.
You know what I mean. Marry, have children.
I do not think I shall marry.
Not if you stay here, but if you go
Do
away...
you want me to go? Answer me. Do you want me to go?
No, I don't want you to go.
Then don't. Let's talk about it.
Lisa, do you remember the rehearsal that day? It was August and very hot. An immensely fat woman sung the Liebestodd. She did not sing it well either. We were not impressed, either of us. You had on a green coat and a skirt and a funny little hat. Odd, isn't it? That there are some things people never forget. I don't know what happened the day before that, or what happened the day after that. But I remember that afternoon very well. The gold chairs on the platform, the orchestra wiping their heads, and the fat soprano bowing and kissing her hand. Then they played the Rachmaninoff piano concerto. Do you remember, Lisa?
Of course.
I can hear it now. Oh, who's that?
Good evening. Is Professor Hendryk in? Professor, my name is Rollander.
How do you do? This is Miss Koletzky.
Yes, how do you do? I have a daughter who studies under you, Professor.
Yes, that is so.
She feels that the attending of lectures in her class is not sufficient for her. She would like you to give her extra private tutoring.
I'm afraid that's not possible.
Yes, I know that she has already approached you on the matter and that you have refused. But I should like to reopen the subject, if I may.
Certainly, Sir William, but I do not think you will alter my decision.
I should first like to understand your reasons for refusing. They are not quite clear to me.
They are quite simple. Please do sit down. Your daughter is charming and intelligent, but she does not have, in my opinion, the true stuff of which scholars are made.
Isn't that rather an arbitrary decision?
Mr. Rollander, I have the feeling you have the popular belief that learning can be stuffed into someone as you put stuffing into a goose. Well, perhaps it'd be easier for you to understand if it were a question of music. If your daughter had a pretty and tuneful voice, and you brought her to a singing teacher and wanted her trained for opera, well, a conscientious and honest teacher would tell you frankly, well, your daughter's not suitable for opera, would never be suitable with all the training in the world.
Well, you are the expert. I must, I suppose, bow to your ruling on that.
And do you yourself really believe that your daughter wants to take up an academic career?
No, quite frankly, I do not think so. But she thinks so, Professor. Let me put it as simply as this. I want my daughter to have what she wants.
A common parental weakness.
As you say, common parental weakness. But my case is much more uncommon than that of some parents. I am, as you may or may not know, a rich man, to put it simply.
I'm aware of that, Sir William. I read the newspapers. I believe it was only a few days ago I read of the exotically fitted luxury car you were having specially built as a present for your daughter.
That probably seems to you foolish and ostentatious. The reasons behind it, let me tell you, are mainly business ones. Why, Helen's not even particularly interested in the car. Her mind at the moment is set on serious matters. Now that is a change for which I am thankful. She's run around for a couple of years with a group of people whom I don't much care for. People without a thing in their heads except pleasure. But now she seems to want to go in for serious study, and I'm behind her 100%.
I can quite understand your
Let
point
me
of
tell
view.
you a little more, Professor. Helen is all that I have. Her mother died when she was 7 years old. I loved my wife and never married again. All I have left of her is Helen. I've always given Helen every single mortal thing that she's wanted.
I'm sure you have, but has that been wise?
No, probably not. But it's become a habit of life now. Helen's a fine girl, Professor Hendryk. I dare say she's made her mistakes. She's been foolish. But the only way one can learn about life is through experience. The Spanish have a proverb. Take what you want and pay for it, says God. Now that's sound, Professor Hendryk. Very sound.
The payment may be high.
Helen wants private tutoring. I want to give it to her. I'm willing to pay the price.
See, it's not a question of price, Sir William. I'm not in this market for the highest fees I can get. I have a responsibility to my profession. My time and energy are limited. I have 2 students now. Poor men, but they rate me in priority over your daughter. Forgive me for speaking frankly.
I appreciate your point of view, but I'm not so insensitive as you may think. I quite realize it isn't just a question of money. But in my opinion, Professor Hendryk, and I am a businessman, every man has his price.
You are entitled to your opinion.
Your wife is, I believe, suffering from disseminated sclerosis.
Yes, that is so. But
When I approach a proposition, Professor, I find out all about it beforehand. That disease is one of which very little is known. It responds to certain palliatives, but there's no known cure. And although the subject of the matter may live on for many years, complete recovery is unknown. Now that, speaking in non-medical terms, is fairly correct.
yes, that is correct.
Well, you may have heard or read of a sensational new drug started in America, for which there are great hopes. Now, I don't pretend to speak with any kind of medical knowledge or accuracy, but
but I believe a new expensively produced antibiotic has been discovered which has an appreciable effect upon the course of the disease. It is at present unprocurable in England, but a small quantity of the drug, or whatever you might call it, has been sent to this country and will be used on a few specially selected cases. I have influence in that direction, Professor. The Franklin Institute, where this work is going on, will accept your wife as patient, if I exert my influence there.
Bribery and corruption.
Yes, bribery and corruption. Not personal bribery, however. It wouldn't work in your case. You would turn down any financial offer I made you. Can you afford to turn down a chance of your wife's recovering her health?
You are quite right, Sir William. I will accept your daughter as a pupil, and I will give her all the private time and tutoring and caring as I would my best pupil. Does that satisfy you?
It will satisfy her. She's the kind of girl who doesn't take no for an answer. Well, you have my word for it that when they're ready at the Franklin Institute, your wife will be accepted as a patient. That will be in about 2 months' time. It only remains for me to hope the treatment will be as successful as these cases in the United States seem to have been. And that I may congratulate you in a year's time on your wife's being restored to health and strength. Good night, Professor. Oh, by the way, my daughter's waiting downstairs to hear the result of my embassy. Would you mind if she stepped up for a moment? I know she'd like to thank you.
Certainly, Sir William.
Good night.
Good night, Sir William. So, the girl wins.
Do you think I should have refused?
No.
It's just that I've made Anya suffer so much already. For sticking to my principles, I was turned out of the university at home. She never really understood why. She never saw my point of view. She thought I behaved foolishly and quixotically. But, well, now there's a chance of her recovering health, and she must have it.
But what about those 2 students? Won't one of them have to go to the wall?
Oh, of course not. Well, I can stay up at night and do my own work.
You're not so young as you were, Karl.
Well, those 2 boys mustn't suffer.
If you have a breakdown, everybody will suffer.
Well, then I mustn't have a breakdown. It's fortunate that no principal's involved here.
Very fortunate. Or Anya.
What do you mean?
Nothing, really.
I don't understand. I'm a very simple man.
I know. That's what's so frightening about you.
That's Anya.
I'll
I'll go.
Your new pupil will want to see you.
Lisa, you do believe that I've done right.
What is right? How do we ever know till we see the results?
The door was open, so I came straight in. Is that all right?
Yes, of course.
I do hope you're not angry. I dare say you feel I'm not much good as a scholar. But you see, I've never had any proper training. Only a silly sort of fashionable education. But I will work hard, I will, really.
Well, good. We will commence a serious life of study. I will give you books, and you will take them and you will read them. And you will come in an hour that we fix, and I will ask you questions to the conclusions you draw from them. Is that understood?
Yes, may I take the books now? Daddy's waiting for me in the car.
Yes, that's a good idea. You'll need these. Lekamate, impossible word for it. Do you read German?
I know little hotel German.
You must study German. You must know French and German thoroughly. It's impossible to get anywhere without the 2. You should study German composition 3 days a week. And I'm afraid the books are rather heavy.
Say they are. It's rather difficult. You want me to read all of it?
Yes, I'd like you to read through it thoroughly and pay special attention to chapter 4 and chapter 8.
Thank you, Professor Hendryk. I really am grateful. I am indeed, and I shall try very hard. Please don't be against me.
I'm not against you.
Yes, you are. You feel as though you've been bullied into this by me and my father. But I'll do you credit, I will, really.
That's good. Well, shall we say Wednesday at 4?
Here?
No, at my room in the university.
Thank you, Professor Hendryk. And I will work. I will.
Well, that's good. There's no more to be said. Goodbye, my dear.
It's sweet of you. Very sweet. I am grateful. Wednesday at 4. Don't take it off.
But it's the Rachmaninoff, Lisa. You and I have always loved it.
I know. That's why I can't bear it just now. Please take it off.
You've known, Lisa. You've always known.
Don't. We've never said anything.
But we've known, haven't we?
Anya's asking for you.
I'll go to her.
Oh, Karl. Karl. Stitches. I'll get it for you.
It's no good my trying to knit. My hands, they won't keep still. It's all hopeless.
Our lives fell a tears, they do say. Did you see that piece in the paper this morning? Two young children drowned in a canal. Lovely children they were. By the way, Miss Hendryk, we're up to tea again. There, that's all right now.
Shall I ever get well again? I want so much to get well.
Course you will, dearie, course you will. Never say die. Now my eldest, he has fit something shocking. The doctors say he'll grow out of it, but I'm not so sure myself. I'll do that bedroom now, so it's ready for when the doctor comes. If you please, Mrs. Lauer.
You better go, Lisa. You'll be late.
Well, if you want me to stay.
No, of course I don't want you to stay. Your friends are only in town for one day, and of course you must see them. It's bad enough to be a helpless invalid without feeling you're spoiling everyone else's pleasure.
Oh, please.
Mrs. Roper! Mrs. Roper! Do you mind? The professor is trying to work.
Do you remember our little Mitzi?
Ah, yes. Mitzi.
Such a nice, willing little maid. Always laughing, and such pretty manners. She made good pastry, too.
She did.
There now. I'm ready for my lecture.
Well, I shan't be long. Goodbye, Anya.
Enjoy yourself.
Goodbye, Karl.
Goodbye. Someday, sweetheart, you will be well and strong.
No, I shan't. You talk to me as though I were a child or an imbecile. I'm ill. I'm very ill. And I get worse and worse. You all pretend to be so bright and cheerful about it. But you don't know how irritating that is.
I'm sorry, dear. I can see how sometimes that would get irritating.
And I irritate, where are you?
Of course you don't, dear.
Oh, I know I do. You're so patient and so good. But really, you must long for me to die and set you free.
Anya, why do you say these things?
What good am I to anyone? Just lying there, ill and a nuisance.
No, you're not.
Nobody ever thinks of me or considers me. It's the same when you lost your chair at the university. Why did you have to take the Schultzes in?
They were our friends, Anya.
You never really liked Schultz. or agreed with his views. When he got into trouble with the police, we should have avoided them altogether. It's the only safe thing to do.
It was no fault of his wife and children. They were left destitute. Somebody had to help them.
It need not have been us.
They were our friends, Anya. You can't desert your friends when they're in trouble.
You can't, I know that. But you didn't think of me. The result of it was that you were told to resign. We had to leave our home and our friends and come away to this cold, gray, horrible country.
Oh, come on. It's not so bad.
Not for you, I dare say. They've given you a post at the university in London, and it's all the same to you as only your books and your studies. But I'm ill. I have no friends here. I lie alone day after day with no one to speak to. Nothing interesting to hear. No gossip. I knit, and I drop the stitches.
I'm sorry, dear.
You don't understand. You don't understand anything. You can't really care for me, or you would understand.
Oh, dearest, I understand.
You're selfish, really. Selfish and hard. You don't care for anyone but yourself.
My poor Anya.
It's all very well to say poor Anya. Nobody ever thinks of me, or considers me.
Well, I consider you. I think about you all the time. Well, I remember when I saw you first. In your little jacket, gaily embroidered in wool. Remember? We went for a picnic up in the mountains. Narcissus were out. You took off your shoes and ran through the long grass. Such pretty little shoes. Such pretty little feet.
I always had small feet.
Prettiest feet in the world. The prettiest girl.
And now I'm faded and old. I'm sick. I'm no use to anybody.
No, you're not, dear. You're always the same to me.
I say Cotes. It's a young lady, sir. I brought some of your books back. I thought you might be wanting them.
Thank you. Dearest, do you remember Miss Rollander?
How do you do, Mrs. Hendryk? I do hope you're feeling better.
I never feel better.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, that's Dr. Stoner, I expect.
I'll finish the bedroom later. I better slip out for tea before he shuts.
Oh, Doctor, how are you? Come on in.
Well, Karl, it's a lovely day.
Can I speak to you alone for a moment, Doctor?
Yes, of course. Well, Anya, it's a lovely spring day.
Is it?
Excuse us a moment.
Good afternoon, Miss Rollander.
Good afternoon, Doctor. It's too hot for the time of year. Gets me in the joints, it does, when it's like that. So stiff I was this morning, I could hardly get out of bed. I'll be right back with the tea, Miss Hendryk. On about that tea, I'll get half a pound, shall I?
If you like, dear.
Ta-ta.
It is she who drinks the tea. She always says we need more tea, but we hardly drink any. We drink coffee.
I suppose these women always pinch things, don't they?
They think we're foreigners and we shall not know. I'm afraid it must be very boring for you, Miss Rollander, with only me to talk to. England are not very amusing company.
I really only came to bring back those books.
Karl has too many books. Look at this room. Look at the books everywhere. Students come and borrow the books and read them and leave them about and take them away and lose them. It's maddening, quite maddening.
Won't be much fun for you.
I wish I were dead.
You mustn't say that.
But it's true. I'm a nuisance to everyone. To my cousin Lisa and to my husband. I someone is a burden on people.
Do you?
I'd be better dead. Much better dead. Sometimes I think I'll end it all. It would be quite easy. Just a little overdose of my heart medicine and everyone would be happy. And I'd be at peace. Why should I go on suffering?
Must be awful for you.
You don't know. You can't possibly understand. You're young and good-looking and rich and have everything you want. And here I am, miserable, hopeless, always suffering. And nobody cares. Nobody really cares.
Well, Anya, Karl tells me you're going into the clinic in about 2 weeks' time.
It won't do any good. I'm sure of it.
Oh, come, you mustn't say that. Why, I was reading a most interesting article in the Lancet the other day. Well, it was only an outline, but it was very interesting. Of course, we're very afraid to commit ourselves in this country. Or, I don't know, but our American cousins rush ahead. There certainly seems to be a good chance of success with it.
I don't really believe in it. It won't do any good.
Oh, come on, don't be a little misery. We'll have your weekly overhaul now, and I'll see if you're doing me any success as a patient or not.
I can't knit any more, doctors. My hands shake so. I dropped the stitches.
There's nothing in that, is there, Doctor?
Oh, no, nothing at all.
You'll have to excuse me. I have a lecture at 4:30.
Are you angry with me for coming?
Oh, of course not. It was very kind of you to return the books.
You are angry. You've been so brusque, so abrupt lately. What have I done to make you angry? You were really cross yesterday.
Well, of course I was cross. You say you want to study and learn and take your diploma, but then you don't work.
Well, I've been rather busy lately. There's been a lot of...
You're not stupid. You've got plenty of brains and intelligence. You just don't apply yourself. Well, how are your German lessons coming along?
I haven't arranged about them yet.
What? You must. It's essential that you know German thoroughly. The books I give you to read, you do not read properly. The questions I ask you, your answers are superficial. You've not thought, studied, or reflected. You must work, Helen. You must work.
Such a bore, working.
But you're eager to study, to take your diploma.
Diploma can go to hell for all I care.
Then I don't understand. You force me to teach you. You make your father come to me.
I wanted to see you, to be near you. You're quite blind, Karl. I'm in love with you.
What? But my dear
Don't you
child.
like me even a little bit?
Well, you're a very desirable young woman, but you must forget this nonsense.
It's not nonsense. I tell you I love you. Why can't we be simple and natural about it all? I want you and you want me. You know you do. Well, why not? Your wife's no good to you.
How little you understand. You're such a child. I love my wife.
You're a terribly fine person. You look after her and bring her cups of bangers and all that, no doubt. That isn't love.
It isn't? I think it is.
Of course you must see that she's properly looked after. But it needn't interfere with your life as a man. If we were to have an affair together, your wife needn't know about it.
My dear child, we're not going to have an affair.
I had no idea you were so straight-laced. I'm not a virgin, you know, if that's what's worrying you. I've had lots of experience.
Helen, don't delude yourself. I'm not in love with you.
You may go on saying that to me blue in the face, but I don't believe you.
Because you don't want to believe me. But it is true. I love my wife. She is dearer to me than anyone in the world.
But why? Why? I mean, what can she possibly give you? I can give you everything. Money for research, for whatever you wanted.
She would still not be Anya. Listen.
I dare say she was pretty and attractive once. She's not like that now.
She is. It's the same Anya there still. Yes, life does things to us. Ill health, disappointment, exile. But all those things, all of them, just form a crust covering over the real self. The real self is still there.
I think you're talking nonsense. If it were a real marriage, but it isn't. It can't be under the circumstances.
It is a real marriage.
You're impossible.
See, you talk like a child. You don't understand.
You are the child, wrapped in a cloud of sentimentality and pretense. You even humbug yourself. If you had courage. Now I've got courage and I'm a realist. I'm not afraid to look at things and see them as they are.
You are a child that hasn't grown up.
Oh, very satisfactory.
That's what he says. All doctors are liars.
Well, I must be off. I have a consultation at 4:30. Goodbye, Anya. Good afternoon, Miss Rollander. Oh, Karl, I'm going up to Gower Street. I can give you a ride if you'd like.
Yes, thank you, Doctor.
I'll wait downstairs in the car.
Carl. Forgive me, Carl.
Well, forgive you, dear. There's nothing to forgive.
Everything. My bad moves, my temper. But it isn't really me. It's just the illness. You do understand.
Oh, I understand. Nothing you say will ever hurt me because I know you're hard.
You must go, Karl. You'll be late.
No, I don't want to leave you.
I'm not going anywhere in particular. I can stay with Mrs. Hendryk until Miss Koletzky gets back.
Would you do that? I'd really appreciate it.
Of course.
Goodbye, dear.
Goodbye.
Goodbye, Miss Rollander. Thank you.
So, is Miss Koletzky a relation?
Yeah, she's my first cousin. She came to England with us and has stayed with us ever since. This afternoon she's going to visit some friends who are passing through London. They're at the Hotel Russell, not very far away. It's so seldom we see friends from our own country.
Would you like to go back?
We cannot go back. A friend of my husband's, another professor, fell into disgrace because of his political views, and he was arrested.
How did that affect Professor Hendryk?
His wife and children, you see, were left quite destitute. Professor Hendryk insisted we take them into our home. But when the authorities got to hear about it, they forced him to resign his position.
Really, it didn't seem worth it, did it?
That's what I felt. And I never liked Maria Schultz in the least. She was a most tiresome woman, always carping and criticizing and moaning about something or other. And the children, they were very badly behaved and very destructive. It seems too bad that because of them we had to leave our nice home and come over here practically as refugees. This will never be home.
It does seem rather tough luck on you.
Oh, men don't think of that. They only think of their ideas of what is right, or just, or one's duty.
Oh, I know. Such an awful bore. But men aren't realists like we are.
Lisa never gave me my medicine before she went out. She's very tiresome sometimes, the way she forgets things.
Can I do anything?
It's on the shelf over there. A little bottle. 4 drops of water. It's for my heart, you know. There's a glass over there and a dropper. Be careful now, it's very strong. That's why they keep it out of reach. Sometimes I feel so terribly depressed that I threaten to kill myself. They think perhaps if I had it near me, I might yield to temptation and take an overdose.
You often want to, I suppose.
Oh, yes. One feels so often that one would be better dead.
Yes, I can understand that.
Of course, one must be brave and go on.
Here you are.
Thank you, my dear. It's rather strong.
4 drops, you said.
Yes, that's right. The professor works much too hard, you know. He takes on more pupils than he ought to. I wish. Well, I wish he could have an easier life.
Perhaps someday he will.
Oh, I doubt it. He's so good to everyone, so full of kindness. He's so good to me, and so patient.
What is it?
I don't seem to be able to catch my breath. Are you sure you didn't give me too much?
I gave you the right dose.
I'm sure you did. I didn't mean. Well, I didn't think. How strange. How very strange.
Mrs. Hendryk? Mrs. Hendryk? others haven't liked it. I keep telling her, money doesn't grow on trees.
Have I been long? Anya? Anya?
Well, I didn't hear you come in, miss.
Why, I didn't know you were here, Mrs. Roper.
Is anything wrong?
Mrs. Hendryk. I think Mrs. Hendryk is dead.
Well, that's over.
I've never been to an inquest in this country before. Are they always like that?
They vary. You know they vary.
It seems so businesslike, so unemotional.
We don't go in for emotion much. It's just a routine business inquiry, that's all.
Wasn't it a rather odd sort of verdict? They said she died from an overdose of stropan, yet they didn't say how it was administered. I should have thought they'd have said suicide while the balance of the mind was disturbed, but have doubted it.
I can't believe that Anya committed suicide.
I should not have said so either.
Still, the evidence was pretty convincing. Her fingerprints on the bottle and on the glass.
But her hand shook a great deal, you know. She must have poured in far more than she realized. The odd thing is, well, I can't remember leaving the bottle or the glass on the table beside her. Yet, I suppose I must have done so.
It was my fault. I should have given her the drugs before I went out.
It was nobody's fault. Nothing is more unprofitable than blaming oneself for having left something undone, something one should have done, or the opposite. These things are very sad, and they happen. Now let's leave it at that, if we can.
You don't think she took an overdose deliberately, Doctor?
I shouldn't have said so.
She did talk about it, you know. I mean, when she got depressed.
Yes, nearly all chronic invalids talk of suicide. They seldom commit it.
I say, I do hope I'm not butting in here. I shouldn't say.
No, it was very kind of you.
I just thought perhaps there was something I could do.
Your sympathy helps. Anya was very fond of you, Lester.
Make some coffee and some little sandwiches. I thought, sis, you need something to keep your strength up.
Thank you, Mrs. Roper.
I hurried back from that inquest fast as I could, sir. Just had these things ready for when you came.
So, you went to the inquest then?
Of course I did. Looked at an interest like. Oh, young lady. Thought I'd go as a sign of respect, if nothing more. Can't say it's been very nice, though, having those police here asking me all those questions.
These routine inquiries must be made, Mrs. Roper.
Oh, of course, sir.
Whenever a certificate cannot be given, there must be a coroner's inquiry.
Oh, I'm sure it's all very right and very proper, but it's not very nice. That's what I say. It's not what I've been accustomed to, and my husband wouldn't like it at all if I were mixed up in anything of the sort.
I don't see that you're mixed up in it in any way, Mrs. Roper.
Well, they asked me questions, didn't they? As whether she was low in her spirits, whether she talked about anything of the kind. Quite a lot of questions they asked me.
Well, that's all over now, Mrs. Roper. Thank you.
Ghouls, that's what they are, these women. Nothing they like better than illnesses, deaths, and funerals. An inquest, I expect, is an added joy.
Lester, coffee?
It must have been some sort of accident.
I don't know.
Can I have some coffee, Doctor?
Please.
Here you are, then.
I don't know, Lisa. Doesn't look quite the same as your coffee.
Well, I expect it's been boiling hard for half an
It
hour.
was kindly meant.
I wonder.
Have a sandwich, Karl.
No, thank you.
Finish them up, my boy. Always hungry at your age.
Thanks, I like my food.
Yes, I'm coming. Excuse me a moment.
He's terribly cut up, isn't he, Doctor?
Yes.
He seems odd in a way. At least, I don't mean odd because I suppose what I mean is it's just so difficult to understand what other people are feeling.
Just what are you trying to say, my boy?
Well, poor Mrs. Hendryk, being an invalid and all that, you'd think, wouldn't you, that he'd get a bit impatient or feel himself tied, but not a bit. He loved her. He really loved her.
Love isn't just glamour, desire, it's sex appeal, as you young people are so sure it is. Well, that's love's start to the whole business. It's the showy flower, if you like. But love's the root, underground, out of sight, and nothing much to look at. But it's where the life is.
But passion doesn't last, sir, does it?
God give me strength. You young people know nothing about these things. Why, you read in the papers of love tangles, divorces, with a sex angle to everything. Study the columns of death sometimes for a change. Plenty of records there of Emily this and John that, dying in their 74th year. Beloved wife of so-and-so. Beloved husband of someone else. Unassuming records of lives spent together, sustained by the root I've just talked about, that still puts out its flowers. Well, not showy flowers, mind you, but still flowers.
I don't know. I never thought about it that way. I've always thought that getting married is taking kind of a risk. Unless, of course, you meet a girl.
Yes, that's a recognized pattern. You meet a girl. Well, perhaps you've already met a girl who's different.
But really, sir, she is different.
Oh, well, I see. Well, then good luck to you, my boy.
This is Anya's, Doctor. I know she'd like Margaret to have it.
Thank you, Karl. I know Margaret will appreciate the gift. Well, I must be off. I can't keep my surgery patients waiting.
I'll go too, if you're sure there's nothing I can do.
Actually, Lester, Lisa's been sorting through some clothes and things. She's sending them off to East London Mission, I believe. Well, if you'd help her carry them to the post office, I'd
Of
really...
course I will.
Thank you.
Goodbye, Karl.
If you would look through these, Karl. Now sit down here and go through these, quietly and alone. It has to be done, the sooner the better.
How right you are, Lisa. One puts these things off and dreads them. Dreads the hurt. But as you say, it's better to get it over with and finished.
Yes. Are you ready, Lester? I won't be long, Karl. Come along, then.
So long ago. So long ago. Oh, go away, whoever you are.
Would you come inside, please? It's Miss Rollander to see you, sir. I do hope I'm not being a nuisance. I went to the English, you see, and afterwards I thought I must come on here to speak to you. Of course, if you'd rather I would
No,
wait.
that's fine.
I'll just pop out and get another quart of tea before he closes. We're right out to game. Oh, I see what you're doing, sir. And a sad business it always is. My sister, she a widow. She'll take out her husband's letters when he wrote her from the Middle East, cry over them like it's not. The heart doesn't forget, sir. That's what I say. The heart doesn't forget.
As you say, Mrs. Roper.
Must have come as quite a shock to you, sir, wasn't it? Or did you expect it?
I did not expect it.
Can't imagine how she came to do such a thing. It don't seem right, sir. Not right at all.
Did you say you were going to get some tea, Mrs. Roper?
That's right, and I must hurry. That grocer shuts at 12:30. I was so sorry to hear.
Thank you.
Of course, she'd been ill a long time, hadn't she? She must have gotten terribly depressed.
Did she say anything to you before you left her that day?
No, nothing particular.
But she was depressed, in low spirits.
Well, yes, she was.
You left her here alone before Lisa returned.
I'm awfully sorry about that. I'm afraid it didn't occur to me. I mean, she said she was perfectly all right. She urged me not to stay, and, well, as a matter of fact, I thought
No. If my poor Anya would have had this in her head, I could see where she might have urged you to go.
And in a way, really, it's the best thing that could have happened, isn't it?
What do you mean, the best thing that could have happened?
Well, for you, I mean. And for her, too. She said she wanted to get out of it all. Well, now she has. So everything's all right, isn't it?
I find it very hard to believe that she did want to get out of it all.
She said so. After all, she couldn't have been happy, could she?
Well, at times she was very happy.
She couldn't have been knowing she was a burden on you.
She was never a burden to me.
Why must you be so hypocritical about it all? I mean, I know you're kind to her and good to her, but let's face facts. To be tied to a querulous invalid is a drag on any man. Now you're free. You can go ahead. You can do anything. Anything. Aren't you ambitious?
I don't think so.
But you are, of course you are. I've heard people talk about you. I've heard people say that that book of yours was the most brilliant of the century.
Fine words indeed.
And they were people who knew. That office, too. You go to the United States. All sorts of places. Haven't you? You turned them down because of your wife. And you couldn't leave and you couldn't travel. You've been tied so long, you hardly know what it is to feel free. Wake up, Karl. Wake up. Be yourself. You did the best you could for Anya. Well, now it's over. You start to enjoy yourself, to live life as it really ought to be lived.
Is this a sermon you're preaching me, Helen?
It's only the present and the future that matter.
The present and the future are made up of the past.
You're free. Why should we go on pretending we don't love each other?
I don't love you, Helen. You must get that into your head. I don't love you. You're living in a fantasy of your own making.
I'm not.
You are. I hate to be brutal, but I have no feelings for you, the kind you imagine.
But you must have. You must have, after what I've done for you. Some people wouldn't have had the courage, but I had. I loved you so much that I couldn't bear to see you tied to a useless, querulous woman. You don't know what I'm talking about, do you? I killed her. Now do you understand? I killed her.
You killed? I don't know what you're saying.
Killed your wife. I'm not ashamed of it. People who are sick and worn out and useless should be removed. It's just to leave room for the ones who matter.
You killed Anya?
She asked for a medicine. I gave it to her. I gave her the whole bottle full.
You killed?
Oh, don't worry. Nobody will ever know. I thought of everything. I wiped off all the fingerprints. Put her own fingers first around the glass and then around the bottle. So that's all right, you see. I never really meant to tell you, but I just suddenly felt that I couldn't bear there to be any secrets between us.
You killed Anya.
You once got used to the
You
idea.
killed Anya. You miserable, immature child. What have you done? Prating so glibly of your courage and your resource. You killed my wife, my Anya. Talking of things you don't understand, without conscience, without pity. I can take you by the neck and strangle you here now. Get out. Get out before I do to you what you did to Anya.
Karl,
Get out. Get out, I say.
I'm back, Karl.
My poor Anya. My poor Anya.
I met Helen on the stairs. She looked very strange. Went past as though she didn't even see me. Karl, what has happened?
She killed Anya.
What?
She killed Anya. Anya asked for her medicine. That miserable child gave her the whole bottle.
But Anya's fingerprints were on the glass.
She put them there after she was dead.
I see. She thought of everything.
I knew Anya wouldn't have killed herself.
She's in love with you, of course.
Yes, it seems to be so, but I never gave her any reason to believe that I cared for her. I didn't, Lisa. I swear I didn't.
I don't suppose that you did. She's the sort of girl who would assume that whatever she wanted must be so.
My poor, brave Anya.
what are you going to do about it?
Do?
It's murder, you know.
Yes, it was murder.
Well, aren't you going to tell the police?
Tell the police? I can't do that.
Why not? Do you condone murder?
Well, I can't let that poor girl spend the rest of her life in prison.
You have to tell them.
I can't tell the police. I know we've come of our own accord, but
Karl, we have to respect this country's laws. No matter what our own feelings on the subject may be.
you seriously think I should tell the police?
Yes.
Why?
Seems to me pure common sense.
Common sense? Common sense? Can one rule one's life by common sense?
You don't, I know. You never have. You're soft-hearted, Karl.
Is it wrong
I'm
to
not.
feel pity? Can mercy ever be wrong?
It can lead to a lot of unhappiness.
Well, one must be prepared to suffer for one's principles.
Perhaps. That is your affair. But other people suffer for them as well. Anya suffered for them.
I know, but you don't understand.
I understand perfectly well.
What do you want me to do?
I have told you, go to the police. Anya has been murdered. This girl has confessed to murdering her. The police must be told.
At least you haven't thought. She's so young, only 23.
Whereas Anya was 38.
If she is tried and condemned, what good will it do? Will it bring Anya back to life again? Revenge will not bring Anya to life.
No. Anya is dead.
And don't you see, Lisa? I'm bound to feel responsible. I must have in some way encouraged that girl.
You did not encourage her. Let's speak plainly. That girl did her utmost to seduce you, and failed.
No matter what you say, I feel responsible. Love for me was her motive.
Her motive was to get what she wanted, as she's always got everything she wanted her whole life.
That's just what's been so terrible.
And she's young and beautiful.
What do you mean?
I wonder if you'd be so tender if she were one of your plain girl students.
You can't think
What
that
can I think?
that I want that girl.
Why not? Aren't you attracted to her? Be honest with yourself. Can you tell me that you're not a little in love with that girl?
You can say that? You? When you've always known. It's you I love, you. I lie awake at nights thinking about you, longing for you. Lisa, Lisa. Nobody's at home.
Lisa, why are you sitting here in the dark?
I was just thinking.
I came along with Karl at the end of the street. I met him. You know what I prescribed for you, Karl? A little alcohol, a stiff brandy. Hey, Lisa? Oh, no, I know my way about. He's had a shock, you know, a bad shock.
I told them about Helen.
Yes, he told me.
It's not been such a shock to you, I gather.
I've been worried, you know. I didn't think Anya was a suicidal type. And I couldn't see any possibility of an accident. And then the inquest aroused my suspicions further. Clearly, I could see the police were behind the verdict. Yes, it looked fishy. The police questioned me fairly closely. And I couldn't help but see what they were driving at.
So you were not surprised?
No. That girl thought she could get away with anything, even murder. Well, she was wrong.
I feel responsible.
Karl, take it from me. You are in no way responsible for your wife's death. Compared to that girl, you're an innocent in arms. And anyway, it's out of your hands now.
You think you should go to the police?
Yes?
No.
Because you insist on feeling partly responsible. You're too sensitive.
Poor wretched child.
Callous, murdering little bitch! That's near the mark. And I shouldn't worry before you need. 10 to 1 it'll never come to an arrest. Why, presumably she'll deny everything. There's got to be evidence, you know. The police may be quite sure that he's done a thing, but be unable to prove it. The girl's father is a very important man. One of the richest men in England, and that counts.
There, I think you are wrong.
Oh, I'm not saying anything against the police. All I'm saying is they'll have to scrutinize their evidence with extra care in this case. And on the face of it, there can't really be much evidence, can there? Unless she confesses to the whole thing. But I suspect she's much too hard-boiled for that now.
She confessed to me.
That's different. Though, as a matter of fact, I can't see why she did. It seems to me a damn silly thing to do.
Because she was proud of it.
You think so?
That's just what's been so terrible. She's never had a chance.
That's one of your boys or girls, I expect. I'll get rid of them. Good evening.
Could I see Professor Hendryk, please?
Will you come this way, please? It's Inspector Ogden.
I hope I'm not disturbing you, Professor Hendryk.
No, not at all.
Good evening, Miss Koletzky. I expect you didn't think you'd see me again, but we have a few more questions to ask. It was an open verdict, you understand. Insufficient evidence as to how the deceased lady came to take the fatal dose.
Yes, that's right.
And have your own ideas changed after that, sir, since we first talked about it?
No. I still think it must have been some sort of accident.
But definitely not suicide.
Definitely not suicide.
Well, you're quite right as to that, sir. It was not suicide.
How do you know?
By evidence that was not given at the inquest. Evidence as to the fingerprints on the bottle containing the fatal drug, and on the glass also.
But they were my wife's fingerprints, weren't they?
Oh, yes, sir, they were your wife's fingerprints, but she didn't make them.
What do you mean?
It's the sort of thing an amateur criminal thinks is so easy. Just pick up a person's hand and fold it, run a gun or a bottle, whatever it may be. But actually, it's not that easy to do. The position of those prints is such that they couldn't have been made by a living woman grasping the bottle. That means that somebody else picked up your wife's hand and folded it around the glass in the bottle so as to give the impression that your wife committed suicide. A rather childish piece of reasoning and done by someone rather cocksure of their own ability. Also, there ought to have been plenty of other prints in the bottle, but there weren't. It had been wiped clean before your wife's were applied. You see what that means?
I see what it means.
There would be no reason to do such a thing if it was an accident. That leaves only one possibility.
Yes, I see.
I wonder if you do see, sir. It means an ugly word. Murder.
Murder.
Doesn't that seem very incredible to you, sir?
You don't know how incredible. My wife was a very gentle and charming woman. It'll always remain to me both terrible and incredible that anyone would have killed her. Are you accusing me?
Well, of course not, Professor Hendryk. If I know sufficient concerning you, I should give you the proper warning. No, we've checked your story, Professor Hendryk, and your time has been fully accounted for. You left here in the company of Dr. Stoa. He states there was no medicine bottle or glass on your wife's table at that time. Between the time you left and the time Miss Koletzky says she arrived here and found your wife dead, every moment of your time has been accounted for. You were lecturing to a group of students at the university. No, there's no suggestion of you're being the person to put the fingerprints on the glass. What I am asking you, sir, is whether or not you have any idea yourself as to who could have done so.
I cannot help you.
You will appreciate, of course, that this alters things. I wonder if I might have a look around the flat, around Miss Hendryk's bedroom in particular. I can't get a search warrant if necessary.
No. Look anywhere you please. My wife's bedroom will stay there.
Thank you.
Yes, Lisa's been sorting through some of her things and
Karl, I've known you long enough to tell you plainly, you're being a fool.
well, I can't be the one to put them on their tracks. They'll get to her soon enough without my help.
I'm not so sure. And anyway, it's all highfalutin nonsense.
The girl didn't know.
She knew perfectly.
She didn't know because life had not yet taught her understanding and compassion.
Have you made him see sense?
No, not yet. You're cold?
No, not cold. I'm afraid. I shall go make us some coffee.
I wish I could get you two to see that revenge will not bring Anya back to life again.
And what will you do, Karl, when our young lady goes on disposing of wives who stand in her way?
I will not believe that.
I gather some of your wife's clothing and effects have already been disposed of.
Yes, they were sent off to East London Mission, I think.
Well, what about papers or letters?
I was sorting through them this morning, but what you'd expect to find...
Some note. Memorandum set down.
Yes, of course. If you must. Well, will you need these? These are the letters I wrote to my wife many years ago.
I'm afraid I must just look through them.
I'll be in the kitchen if you need me any further, Inspector Ogden.
What do you think he was in on it?
No, I don't. Not beforehand, at least. He hadn't the faintest idea, I should say. But he knows now.
He's not
It's been a
saying a
shock to
thing.
him. No. That'd be too much to expect. There doesn't seem to be much here. Not likely to be under the circumstances.
Yep. There had been. I'd say our Mrs. Moffett would have been in on it. I'd say she was a pretty good snoop. That kind always knows the dirt. And boy, did she bloody well love spilling it.
An unpleasant woman.
I should do her in a witness box.
Well, unless she ever does it. Well, nothing additional here. Better get on with the job. Will you come in here, please? Miss Koletzky, there are some additional questions I'd like to ask you. You understand you're not forced to answer anything unless you please.
I do not want to answer any more questions.
Perhaps you're wise. Lise Koletzky, I arrest you on the charge of administering poison to Anya Hendryk on March the 5th last. And it's my duty to warn you that anything you say will be taken down and may be used in evidence.
What's this? What are you doing? What are you saying?
Professor Hendryk, don't let's have a scene.
You can't arrest Lisa. You can't. She's done nothing.
I did not murder my
You have
cousin.
plenty of opportunity to say everything you want.
You can't do this. You can't.
I need a coat or a hat.
I did nothing.
Inspector Ogden, please come back. I must speak to you.
Wait in the hall, Sergeant.
Aye, yes, sir.
Yes, Professor Hendryk.
I have something to tell you. I know who killed my wife, and it was not Miss Koletzky.
Who was it then?
It was a girl called Helen Rollander. She's one of my pupils. She formed an unfortunate attachment to me. She was alone here with my wife on the day in question. She is the one who gave her an overdose of the heart medicine.
Indeed. Were there any witnesses?
No, but I'm telling you the truth.
Helen Rollander. You mean the daughter of Sir William Rollander?
Yes, her father is an important man. Does that make any difference?
No, it wouldn't make any difference if your story were true.
I swear to you that it's true.
You are very devoted to Miss Koletzky, aren't you? She's been arrested.
You think that we
Your
planned...
wife was an invalid. Miss Koletzky was an attractive young woman. You were thrown together.
You think that Lisa and I plotted together to kill Anya?
No, I don't think you planned it. I made it wrong there, of course. I think all the planning was done by Miss Koletzky. There was a prospect of your wife regaining her health owing to a new treatment, and I think Miss Koletzky was taking no chance of that.
I tell you, it was a girl called Helen Rollander.
You tell me yes. It seems to me a most unlikely story. Is it plausible that a girl like her, who's got the world at her feet and hardly knows you, would do a thing like that? Making up an accusation of that kind reflects little credit on you, Professor Hendryk. Trumping it up in the spur of the moment, because you think it cannot be contradicted.
Go to her now. Tell her that I know that with all her faults, she is decent and honest, and she will tell you what I've told you.
You've thought this up very cleverly, haven't you?
What do you mean?
Exactly what I say. But there's no one who could confirm your story.
Only Helen herself.
Exactly.
And Dr. Stoner, I told him.
He knows because you told him.
I believe it to be so, Inspector Ogden. If you remember, on the day of the inquest, I told you that when we left Mrs. Hendryk that day, Miss Rollander remained to keep her company.
That's a kind offer on her part. We interviewed Miss Rollander at the time, and I see no reason to doubt her story. She stayed for a short time, and then Miss Hendryk asked her to leave since she felt tired.
Go to her now. Tell her what I've told you to tell her.
Just when did Professor Hendryk tell you that Miss Rollander had killed his wife? Within the last hour, I should imagine.
That is so.
We met in the street.
Well, didn't it strike you that if his story was true, he would have come to us as soon as she admitted to him what she had done?
He's not that kind of man.
I don't think you're really aware of what kind of man he is. He's a quick and clever thinker, and not overly scrupulous. This is your coat in evening paper, I see.
Yes, I bought it on the corner before I came in. I haven't had time to read it yet.
Are you sure?
I am quite sure.
I think you did. So William Rollander's only daughter, Helen Rollander, was the victim of a regrettable accident this morning. In crossing the road, she was knocked down by a lorry. The lorry driver claims she gave him no time to brake. She walked straight out into the road without looking right or left and was killed instantly. I think that when you saw that paragraph, Professor Hendryk, you saw a way out to save your mistress by accusing a girl who could never refute what you said because she was dead.
Yes? No. These reporters never stop.
Why didn't you let me stay in court?
Lisa specially asked that you shouldn't remain in court to hear the verdict.
Well, you could let me stay.
Lisa wanted me to be with you. If anything happens, the lawyers will let us know at
They
once.
can't find her guilty. They can't.
If you'd like me to go back there,
You
if I-
stay here, Lester.
If there's anything I can do,
You can answer that damn telephone that keeps ringing.
Yes, please stay here, boy. Your presence here helps me.
does it really?
They have to acquit her. They will. I can't believe that innocence can go unrecognized.
Can't you? I can. One's seen it often enough. And you've seen it, Karl. Time and time again. Mind you, I think she did make a good impression on the jury.
All the same, the evidence was pretty damning. It's that frightful Roper woman. The things she said.
She believed what she was saying. That's what made her so unshakable under cross-examination, of course. It's particularly unfortunate that she should have seen you and Lisa embracing on the day of the inquest. She did see it, I suppose.
Yes, I suppose she must have. It's the first time I had ever kissed Lisa, Doctor.
And a particularly bad time to choose. It's really 1,000 pities that she never saw anything that passed between you and Helen. A very nice young girl, that's all she had to say. And anyway, all you've done is to cook up a lot of odium and bring it down on yourself for making up a scurrilous story about a girl who is dead.
Only if I would have gone to the police right when she told me that...
If only you had. It's particularly unfortunate that you only came up with this story about Helen after you bought a copy of the evening's news containing the news that she was dead. The whole set of circumstances is thoroughly damnable. With that Roper woman coming in to find Lisa standing over the body with the bottle in gloved fingers. The whole thing has built itself up in an incredible fashion.
Can it?
Yes? Hello? Go to hell.
Ghouls. That's what they are. All ghouls.
They can't find her guilty. They can't.
We can appeal, you know.
She shouldn't have to be the one to go through this. I wish I were in her place.
Yes, it's always easier when it's oneself.
After all, I am partly responsible.
I've told you that's nonsense.
Lisa's done nothing. Nothing.
Go and make us some coffee, boy, if you know how.
Of course I know how.
Don't answer it. Leave me alone, can't you? Leave me alone. I can't bear it, Doctor. I can't bear it.
Patience, Karl. Courage.
What good is it saying that to me?
Well, not much. But there's nothing else that can help you right now. Except courage.
I keep thinking of what Lisa must be suffering.
I know.
She's so brave. So wonderfully brave.
Lisa's a very special woman. I've always known that.
I love her, Doctor. Did you know that? I love her.
I know. You've loved her for a very long time.
Yes, neither of us ever acknowledged it, but we both knew. And that didn't mean I didn't love Anya. I did love Anya. I will always love her. I didn't want her to die.
I know. I've never doubted that. And you know what Anya used to say to me? She used to say, When I'm gone, Karl must marry Lisa. That's what she used to say. If he doesn't think of it, Doctor, you must put it into his head. That's what she used to say to me. Lisa will be good to him and take care of him. If he doesn't think of it, Doctor, you must make him think of it. That's what she used to say to me.
Do you think they'll acquit her, Doctor? Do you?
Karl, I think you ought to prepare yourself.
Even her counsel didn't believe us, did he? He pretended to, of course. But he didn't believe us.
No, I don't think he did. But I think there are one or two sensible people on the jury. That fat woman with the funny hat. Why, she listened to every word you were saying about Helen. And I noticed her nodding her head in complete agreement. She's probably had some husband who went off the rails with some young girl. You never know what queer things influence people.
This time it must be. Well?
No, I'm afraid he can't. Another of the ghouls.
What can they hope to get out of it?
Increased circulation, I suppose.
I hope it's all right. It took me some time to find everything.
Thank you.
Have you ever seen herons flying low over a riverbank?
No, I don't think I have. What put that in your head?
Oh, I don't know. Just wishing, I suppose, that none of this was really happening, and that I was someplace else.
Yes, I can understand that. It's so difficult, not being able to do anything.
Well, nothing so bad as waiting.
Doctor, I want you to do something for me.
Yes, Karl, what is it?
I want you to go back to court.
No, Karl.
Yeah, I know you promised, but if the worst happens, well, I want her to be able to see you there. And if it's not the worst, then, well, I want Lisa to be able to have you there to bring her home. And, well, I know I'm right.
Very well, Karl.
If you'd like me to, I could stay with you.
Oh, no. You come with me. There's times when a man's got to be alone. Isn't that right, Karl?
Yes, I'll just stay here quietly with Anya.
What did you say? With Anya?
That's what it seems like, Doctor. Please leave me. I shan't answer the telephone if it rings. I'll wait here until you come back. While the lights last, I shall remember. In the darkness, I shall not forget. Lisa, is it true? Is it?
They found me not guilty.
Oh, my dear, I'm so thankful. No one shall ever hurt you again, Lisa.
No.
What do you mean?
I've just come to get my things.
What do you mean, your things?
Just a few things that I need. Then I'm going away.
What do you mean, going away?
I'm leaving here.
Surely that's ridiculous. Oh, do you mean what people would say? Well, does that matter now?
You don't understand, Karl. I'm going away. For good.
Going away? Where?
What does it matter? Somewhere. I can get a job. There'll be no difficulty about that. I may go abroad. I may stay in England. But wherever I go, I'm starting a new life.
You mean a new life without me?
Yes. Just carve Karl, that's just what I mean.
But why? Why?
Because I've had enough.
I don't understand you.
We're not made to understand each other. We don't see things the same way, and I'm afraid of you.
That's ridiculous. How can you be afraid of me?
Because you're the kind of man who always brings suffering.
No.
It's true.
No.
I see people as they are, without malice, and without entering into judgment. Without illusions either. I don't expect people to be wonderful, or life to be wonderful. And I don't particularly want to be wonderful myself. If there are fields of amaranth, they can be on the other side of the grave as far as I'm concerned.
Lisa, fields of amaranth? What are you talking about?
I'm talking about you, Karl. Put ideas first, not people. Ideas of friendship, and loyalty, and pity. And because of that, people who are near suffer. You knew you'd lose your job if you befriended the Schultzes. You knew. You must have known what an unhappy life that would mean for Anya. But you didn't care about Anya. You only cared about your ideas of what was right. But people matter, Karl. They matter as much as ideas. Anya mattered. I matter. I've had enough. You've more in common with the girl Helen than you have with me. She was like you, ruthless. She went all out for the things she believed in. She didn't care what happened to people as long as she got her own way.
Lisa, you can't mean what you're saying. You can't.
But I do mean it. I've been thinking it really for a long time. All these days in court I've thought about it. I didn't think they'd acquit me. I don't know why they did. The judge didn't seem to think there was much reasonable doubt. But I suppose some of the jury must have believed me. There was one little man who kept on looking at me as though he were sizing me up. Just a commonplace, ordinary little man. But he looked at me and thought I hadn't done it. Perhaps he thought I looked like the kind of woman he'd like to go to bed with, and he didn't want me to suffer. I don't know what he thought. But he was a person. Looking at another person. And he was on my side. And perhaps he persuaded the others. And so I'm free. I've been given a second chance to start life again. I'm starting again alone.
But Lisa, you can't mean what you're saying. I implore you.
No, Karl. What happens to women who love you? Anya loved you and she died. Helen loved you and she's dead. And I have been very near death. I've had enough. I'm going away, and I'm going to be free of you forever.
But Lisa,
You once told me to go away and marry and have children. Perhaps that's what I'll do. So, I'll find someone like that little man on the jury. Someone who'll be human and a person like me. I've had enough. I've loved you for years and it's broken me. I'm going away and I shall never see you again.
Lisa.
Never.
Karl! Karl! It's all right, my boy. She's acquitted. Do you understand? She's acquitted. Lisa, Lisa, my dear. Thank God we've got you back safe. It's wonderful, wonderful.
Yes, it's wonderful.
Well, how are you? A little fine, drawn, thinner. But that's only natural with all you've been through. But we'll take care of you. We'll make it up to you. Well, as for Karl here, you can imagine the state he's been in. Ah, well, thank God that's all over now. So what do you say? Shall we go out? Celebrate? A bottle of champagne, eh?
No, Doctor. Not tonight.
Oh, yes, what a fool I am. You need your rest.
Oh, I'm all right. I must just get my things.
Things?
I am not staying here.
But... Oh, well, Well, I suppose that is wise with people like your Mrs. Roper about, with their evil minds and tongues. But where will you go? To a hotel? Oh, no, you better come to us. It's a tiny room that we have, but Margot will be delighted to have you, and we'll take care of you.
That's very kind of you, but I have all my plans made. Tell Margaret that I will come to see her very soon.
Karl, is something wrong?
Where should be wrong?
She's been through a terrible ordeal. It takes a little time to come back to normal. Well, when I think that we sat here, waiting, with that damn telephone ringing all the time, hoping and fearing, and now it's all over.
Yes, all over.
No decent jury would have ever convicted her. Well, I told you so. Karl, what's the matter? You still look half dazed. Can't you quite believe it yet? Well, come on, Karl, snap out of it. We've got our Lisa back again. Oh, I know. I'm clumsy, but it takes a little time to get used to joy.
I'm going
I'll
now.
get you a taxi.
No, please. I'd rather be alone. Thank you. For all your kindness. For all that you did for Anya. You've been a good friend. I shall never forget.
Karl, what does this mean? There is something wrong.
She's going away.
Yes, temporarily, but she will be back.
She's not coming back.
What?
She is not coming back.
But why?
It's very simple, actually. She has suffered. She doesn't want to suffer anymore.
Why should she suffer?
It seems I am a man who brings suffering to those who love him.
Nonsense!
Is it? Anya loved me and she is dead. Helen loved me and she is dead.
Did Lisa say that to you?
Is that true, Doctor? Am I a man who brings suffering? What did she mean when she talked of fields of amaranth?
Fields of amaranth? Yes, I was reading there.
Please leave me.
I'd like to stay.
I must get used to being alone.
Well, you don't think that
She's
might...
not coming back. There are no fields of amaranth this side of the grave. There are no voices, O Rodape. They're not soon mute, however tuneful. There's no name with whatever emphasis of passionate love repeated, of which the echo is not faint at last. Oh, Lisa. Lisa, how can I live without you? Lisa, you've come back. Why?
Because I'm a fool.
coming. The storm, I think, has abated, and you were lucky. It was very, very rainy out. Good job, guys.